Ladies and gentlemen, our coins are looking beautiful. Just take a look at XRP. We have reversed all the losses from the whole Middle East conflict over the past day or so, going as low as $1.90 right now back to $2.16, $2.17. And I mean, most of the news that's been coming out at least sounds quite positive. A little bit earlier, we had a statement that read Iran has officially responded to all right, let's take a step back. Let's do that again. Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with a very weak response, which we expected. And we have very effectively countered. There have been 14 fired and 𝗕𝗓𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗑. Pleased to inform that no American was harmed and hardly any damage was really done. But more importantly, they've gotten it all out of their system. And there will hopefully be no further hate. I want to thank Iran for giving us early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region. And I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. Thank you for the attention to the matter. And my response to this one would be, well, most people think that the major drama is now over. Why am I saying that? Well, because oil dropped a few percent throughout the day based on these new announcements. And as the day progressed, most of our coins, like I said earlier in the video, have started to go up, as apparently Israel and Iran were basically down to agree on a complete ceasefire, basically right around now. And to get back to it, Israel and Iran came to me almost simultaneously and said, peace. I knew the time was now. The world and the Middle East are the real winners. Both nations will see tremendous love, peace, and prosperity in their futures. They have so much to gain and yet so much to lose if they stray from the road of righteousness and truth. The future for Israel and Iran is unlimited and filled with great promise. God bless you both. Kind of interesting to come from the US of A, not gonna lie. And especially because at the start, all of these announcements of a ceasefire were being, rebutted by people saying, we're not sure if that's completely true. But it's just mostly interesting to me how stocks and how oil are performing here. Oil just completely reversed everything over the past few days, all the gains that it had made. And it's kind of like we were announcing yesterday of a situation where all three of the parties can announce victory. America for making this peace happen. Israel for basically, let me be careful with how I say things. What's the best way to view this? I guess Israel for the recent actions, let's just put it like that. And Iran, obviously, for having the last laugh, throwing a little shade back and ending it off there. And basically exactly that has happened. All three of them are claiming victory here, which I guess for our coins is literally the best case scenario. At least that's the way I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm definitely happy with the way we handled this, though. I mean, it could have been slightly better. Hype is doing okay. ETH is doing okay. We're just up a few $1,000s on those throughout the day. These were all positions I opened together with y'all yesterday. Bitcoin, obviously, we only added like 10K. XRP, we added from 300 something to almost 500K now, so it's a pretty good add. Obviously, the hype and the ETH, but could have been more. On Bybit, I've also been adding some more ETH. Just to, kind of increase the position size there a little bit. And on Pionex, I still told y'all what in the best theory I should be doing is just adding every single time they go to minus 50% or more. But sometimes you either don't have the time for it or don't have the funds for it. And this one I can't touch. But every single one of them, just look at it, right? If I had religiously bought them at minus, in this case, 50, 70, whatever, look at this. It was minus 77%. I could have bought that dip when I saw minus 75, and that would have right now just almost evened itself back out if I just doubled in, right? Same for Pepe, for example. Earlier, it was at what? Minus 61%, right now only minus 35. We could have actually halved that minus yet again, right? We could have actually gotten this to only minus like 15, maybe 20%, something like that. Same for BNB, we could have potentially actually been at a profit, who knows? Virtuals, minus 40% was actually what? Let's quickly see. Minus 75%. Again, we could have had such a crazy return on many of these if we were just a little bit more aggressive with the buying. But hey, it's okay. I told you all I was mostly focused on adding on the blowfin positions, which also has been doing pretty okay, right? We added a ton more XRP, and we still are preparing ourselves in case things do get worse. But with the way in which currently things are looking, I kind of expect the conflict to be over with and things to kind of get, more positive from here, especially since Bitcoin hit 106. And it seems that right now, just many of the coins like ETH, XRP, they're all just quite undervalued. I mean, BNB has kept its value quite nicely throughout the past couple of months, whereas XRP from the recent highs is down quite a lot, and so is Ethereum, right? It was able to go to almost $4,000 a few months ago. Why is it not, or like a year ago, let's say, why is it not able to do that right now? Bitcoin already is at that all-time high, but XRP, ETH, and perhaps Solana as well, down 50% from their high points. It's an interesting quarrel, right? But I think most of these are, at this point, quite undervalued for the longer term. And obviously already been adding up some hype. I still think many of these, though, can still really easily be bought for massive gains over the next few months. Because, I mean, most of the people that got wrecked recently are just shorting, right? They were all shorting the crap out of this because, well, that was the trend the last couple of hours. And we should remember all the massive Twitter people, all the massive YouTubers that were saying, no, you see, this is why coins go to zero. I'm shorting, I've sold. Because we were saying, I'm buying that freaking dip. I don't care. I did say I'm going to be a little bit careful with how aggressively I buy. I'll admit that because, well, if there's an impending freaking war and they just freaking went to another base earlier in the morning and this, that, if you're not careful, I think you're kind of stupid, right? You got to play the game a bit cautiously. But right now, the only thing I'm thinking of is, should we just take the couple $1,000s profit on some of the coins here? Just be satisfied with the fact that we've reversed this entire move. We're able to catch the freaking bottom of the bottom and just call it quits? Or should we hold on basically to state that we're going to reverse all the way back towards perhaps even the $2.34 or so per XRP? And what I'm thinking also is I should actually be adding just a little bit more at these lower prices, just so the moment we get back towards this resistance, I'm actually at enough profit so that the moment we break through, right, or actually get back to it, we're not at a loss no more. Whereas right now it's still a slight loss, and I don't actually like the look of that. We should have added a little bit more just to get it into perhaps a 226, 227 or so average buy. That would have been slightly better. Having said that, over the few week outlook, I still am just very, very satisfied we were able to get this in and realize that if XRP goes back from our average price right here back towards the local high at what, $3.40, something like that. Still, from this point on, it's about 50% up or so, which also is the same for hype, by the way, which is why I did buy that dip, but I should be buying a bit more aggressively because we're already up 10% since that, 30% of course after leverage. But since it's 50% back to its local high, for hype also 50% for ETH, the all-time high 50% for Solana 50% back to its all-time high. Think about it with leverage, right? With a 10x leverage on that, that's 500% on whatever money we put in. Hopefully within a few weeks, a few months here. I still think at the end of this year, we will see it. And ladies and gentlemen, I've said it before, if you also want to trade, some links are down below. There's also a trading competition, which we are going to be doing as a team. I've left the link for 𝗏𝗏 down below. It's the exchange we're using for the most part. But I've also got some other exchange links down below. And you actually, for trading on Pionex, get $100 just for signing up. Well, a link is down below for that. You get more deposit bonuses for obviously depositing. Check it out with the link right there. And 𝗏𝗏 or WeX, just check them out. You can also get some nice bonuses just for signing up. And all the trades you saw in this video were done on 𝗏𝗏. If it doesn't work, you may need to use a VPN, but still, I think it's a really, really great platform for trading because, well, for me, it doesn't matter what country I'm in. I always just use platforms that don't have KYC. I just like it more. If you are in a good country and you do prefer platforms with KYC, the most trusty one that I know of is Bybit. There's only two. There's one link down below to Binance, which I don't use that often, and Bybit. Bybit is, in my opinion, the best exchange if you do like KYC. Otherwise, I think it is probably 𝗏𝗏, but it depends a bit on what exact features you're looking for. For bots, Pionex is the crap, right? It's the shit. And I'll get another video out to you guys probably tomorrow on some of my bot results. Because one thing that people seem to underestimate is just how much money you can make with this. I just logged into my Bybit and I realized I put a couple $100s in maybe a year and a half ago, right? I think like $300. And I think right now it's over 2,000 in a year and a half from just having the bots open and forgetting about it. I had some dollars left, about 0.001 Bitcoin or something like that, and it's now worth thousands. Then I put another $300 in 400 days ago, something like that, a little bit over a year ago, and it's also worth like $1,500. So then I realized, man, if you just buy Bitcoin and just put it in some bots as well, over time, the amount of money you'll make is probably insane. You just got to not see it from a 1 week or 1 month perspective, but a few months. That's where you make the crazy gains. Trust the process. But that same thing applies to altcoin season. Trust the process. I'll see you guys again in another video tomorrow. Things are good. Things are very, very good. That's about it.